Cobra meeting
Yes.
you've just chaired, do you believe at this moment that a full-scale invasion of Ukraine is underway?
Well, let me tell you what's been going on. So we've just had a Cobra meeting about the situation in Ukraine, particularly in the Donbass region, where plainly President Putin has now violated Ukrainian sovereignty. He's sent troops in, he's broken international law, he's repudiated the Minsk agreements and torn up the understanding from Budapest in 1994 that Ukraine's territorial integrity would be respected. You know, he's completely torn up international law. We will immediately institute a package of economic sanctions, which I think, as people would expect, targeted not just at entities in Donbass, in Luhansk and Donetsk, but in Russia itself, targeting Russian economic interests as hard as we can, and I'll be setting out a bit later on in the House of Commons what we are going to do. This is, I should stress, just the first barrage of UK economic sanctions against Russia, because we expect, I'm afraid, that there is more Russian irrational behaviour to come. And the sad thing is that at every turn in this crisis, the UK's pessimistic predictions have been vindicated. We said that there would be false flag operations, and there have been false flag operations. We said that there would be provocations in the Donbass, and that's exactly what we're now seeing. And I'm afraid all the evidence is that President Putin is indeed bent, as you said just now, on a full-scale invasion of Ukraine and the overrunning, the subjugation of an independent, sovereign European country. And I think that, let's be absolutely clear, I think that would be absolutely catastrophic. There will, of course, be pressure for continued conversation, for negotiations, and that's right. Whilst there's still a discussion to be had, of course, a discussion should be had, and the UK will be engaged actively in diplomacy at all levels to try to find a way forward other than through the violence that President Putin seems to be proposing. But I just want everybody to be in no doubt that if Vladimir Putin continues down this track of violence, of aggression, of a full-scale invasion, of encircling Kiev itself, which is what he seems to be proposing to do, capturing the Ukrainian capital, it is absolutely vital that that effort, that conquest of another European country should not succeed, and that Putin should fail. And that is what we will be exerting ourselves to ensuring is the outcome.
Can you tell us a bit about what sanctions you're going to bring in today on Russian families and businesses in the UK, and why do you think they're going to be effective, given that the threat of sanctions didn't appear to be very effective? What is the reason for ratcheting them up in this way, some now and some later?
So I'll explain later on in the House what we're going to do, but I want to, and so probably right to wait till then to set out the full package. But the intention is not just to hit the entities within Lugansk and Donetsk, but those Russian economic interests that have been supporting Russia's war machine, everything that is being done to support the Russian activities in that area. They will hit Russia very hard, and there is a lot more that we are going to do in the event of an invasion. And be in no doubt that if Russia is prevented, Russian companies are prevented from raising capital on UK financial markets, if we unpeel the facade of Russian ownership of companies, of property, it will start to hurt.
You want to do this in concert with other Western countries, with the US and other European countries. Do you think that Russian banks, do you think that the Nordstream pipeline should be involved from the start?
I think one of the most important things we've got to understand, looking back at 2014 and the invasion of Crimea, the annexation of Crimea and what happened back then in eastern Ukraine, we've got to recognise that we were not tough enough. And in the end, we didn't do enough as Europeans to wean ourselves off Russian hydrocarbons, off Russian oil and gas. And to a certain extent now, the vagaries of the price in gas, the spikes in gas prices to which European economies are so vulnerable, is a consequence of that failure to move away from that dependency. That's what we've got to do now. We've got to make sure that we cut the umbilicus, we snip the drip feed into our bloodstream from Nordstream.
Prime Minister, what did you make of Vladimir Putin's address last night saying that Ukraine had no right to be a state? You talked about his irrational behaviour. Do you think some Western leaders were naive to think that diplomacy could work?
I think that the UK has spotted this a long way out. And I don't know whether you read his 5,000-word essay on the history of Ukraine, and it's he basically makes the same point, and he made it many months ago, that he believes that that Ukraine has no real right to exist as a sovereign, independent country. But that goes against everything that we struggled to achieve at the end of the Cold War. It goes against the aspirations of the Ukrainian people. And I think the most difficult thing now for Vladimir Putin in prosecuting this war, he will come up against something that I think will be very hard for him to beat. And that is the Ukrainian sense of national pride and their determination to defend their country and to fight for it. And I think the tragedy of the present situation is that President Putin has surrounded himself with like-minded advisors who tell him that Ukraine is not a proper country. And I think that he's going to find that he has gravely miscalculated.
You talked to President Zelensky last night about sending more defensive weaponry to Ukraine. Are we going to do that? And could it at some point become offensive weaponry?
I think it's very important that we stay within our obligations to the Ukrainians, and we're going to do that. We're going to keep helping them in economically, supporting them in the way that we have, supporting the Ukrainian economy, but also giving them lethal but defensive assistance. And I believe that the British people will support the UK government in doing that. I think that they have a right to defend their country, and the UK will help them do that.
So we'll send them more.
Well, we're looking at what we can do, what more we can do to help. As you know, we've trained about 22,000 members of the Ukrainian armed forces, and also given them some anti-tank weaponry and some other kit. But we'll look at what more we can do. But in this we are joined, I should say, by like-minded allies, the Americans, the Poles, the Lithuanians, and others.
Prime Minister, you talked about cutting the cord of Russian oil and gas. To a lot of families in the UK worried about energy bills, they're worried this is going to have an even greater impact. What can you say to reassure them about that?
And don't forget that in the UK, we've been able to reduce our dependency on Russian gas very substantially. Only 3% of our gas supplies now come from Russia. What we want to do is make sure that we give the necessary licenses, for instance, for UK reserves of gas as we make the transition to a low carbon future, but also go forward with a short, medium, and long term plan for energy in this country, whereby we massively accelerate our renewables campaign, but also deliver more nuclear as fast as we can. The faster this country can be more self-reliant on our own energy, the more prosperous we will be, but also, of course, the more sustainable our energy prices will be, and that will benefit the UK consumer.
Thank you.